on Route 28, right near the intersection of Route 111, and we are ready for the ladder championship match. And Jack Ray has waited 4 weeks for this opportunity, and he's going to get a chance to face a very hot Steve Vadney.
Last week was World War III, and this week is World War IV.
All right, let's meet the two bowlers very briefly. First of all, in slow motion, a look at Jack Ray, our #1 seed, a 725 roll-off. He's been with us 5 times before, has a record of 3-2, and he can throw a lot of marks in a lot of a hurry.
Jack is noted for throwing a lot of big games. As I said, back-to-back 170 games before on TV. Here you see him throwing the ball, awfully smooth, beautiful follow-through, tremendous action on the ball. He throws a lot of strikes, and I expect you'll see quite a few here today.
All right, Jack, of course, traveling up from Woburn, Massachusetts, as you saw, and we will be getting our first look, actually, at Jack Ray in quite a while. We'll go over his history with us a little bit later on in the show, but, of course, Steve Vadney has a very long and recent good history with Candlepin Stars and Strikes. He's won 4 shows in the last 6 weeks, including a ladder championship 5 weeks ago, so he's going for another one.
He's got that strike ball working. He threw 7 strikes last week. He's not missing any of his spare shots. I don't think he's missed a single pin in this whole run.
So he'll be going for his 4th win in a row, coming up from that #4 seeded spot. Tough to do, come up and work your way through the ladder and compete for the ladder championship. The big money on the line today, of course, $400 to the winner, $200 to the runner-up, and $140 in the bonus ball jackpot at the end of the show. All of that coming up, but we got to get to this. First place down to 6, but this time Jack Ray was just running away with the roll-off, winning by 60 pins.
Yeah, he just had one of those days where everything went right, and you know, it was no contest. However, it doesn't make much difference today. They're both starting from the same point.
That's right. He finished 83 pins on top of Steve Vadney down in that #4 spot, but right now they start dead even, and they go for the $400 first prize, $200 to the runner-up. And, of course, Steve Vadney going for his 2nd straight ladder championship. He won one just 5 weeks ago here. But right now, Jack Ray is set to get us started on lane 32 as we will begin this match. And fasten your seatbelts. This could be a good one. If you were with us last week for the Mike Poulin match with Steve Vadney, you know how the marks and the scores can add up. And Jack Ray is certainly every bit as capable of putting those big numbers up there.
Starts off with a quarter hit 9-drop. Have leaving the head pin. Got a piece of wood that needs to be removed.
Nancy Davis will take a run down there and see if that has to come out, and I believe it will. Jack Ray has been with us 5 times previous to today with a record of 3-2. 2 of those appearances came in doubles competition with his teammate Sharon Rawson in the WCBC Pro Bowlers Classic. And there's Jack Spare to start it off.
Gets the head pin on the first ball, but he's got a tremendous working ball. Just gets a lot of action.
On the spare, there they go.
Well. Of course, that's almost the way that Mike started last week. Didn't seem to shake Steve up too much.
Here he is, Steve Vadney. Steve, all told, making his 13th appearance on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. He is 9-3. And of those 9 wins, 7 of them have been 400 triples.
Well, he'd be happy to work this out for a 10.
And does. Steve lives in Claremont. His wife Annette, their 2 children Jennifer and Stevie. Steve works as an assembler for Sturm Ruger in Newport.
He's got a tough wood here. He's going to have to hit it just below the cap in order to drive it straight back.
No.
Didn't quite get there.
Pair 10s.
That was not an easy shot.
Jack Ray and his partner Sharon Rawson in that Pro Bowlers Classic last year won their quarterfinal match against Bill Treifel and Tony Marie Broussard, 359 to 323, and then lost in the semifinals to the eventual champions, Mike Poulin and Carol Downey, by a score of 353 to 344.
Oh,
not that time for Jack.
tough break on that one. He wanted to sweep the wood in. Just got a little bit too high on it.
Jack then returned some months later in November and December of 1985 in singles competition. And to be more precise, on November 24th, 1985, he beat Steve Vadney, 413 to 385. The following week, he beat Bob Moran by 393 to 390, and then in the latter championship match against Bob Mazur, he lost 387 to 378.
Watch this one here. Probably play this in the front wood, way up on the nose.
Missing.
Just missed it.
Sounded like he broke the pin. 56-4 for Jack. So this is a rematch.
Well, Jack gave Steve a couple openings here. See if Steve can take advantage of it. A little bit full. He's going to have to make some nice shots.
Not quite on the inside route.
Picking those 10s up, though.
A very light hit, but Steve will have a little something to shoot at here. The 2-7-10 with plenty of wood.
Well, he had a mess. Now he may play that right-hand wood and try and sweep everything left. Then again, he may not.
Four 10s. Steve Vadney.
He hasn't really had a legitimate spare leave yet. Shot's a little tougher than it looks, too. Jackie's going to have to hit that front wood high or just sneak past it.
And it's not there, although the ball is off the plate now, so.
It looked like he elected to go by it, but just caught the cap on the way by.
Nancy Davis once again to the rescue. He's going to wait, but there's no need to because the ball is not going to head back at this point. $10 for Jack, 66.5. Jack works at Marjam Supply in Woburn, which is where he lives.
Tough split here. Cut the 3-pin over into the 7.
That roll-off score of 725 is a 5-string average of 145. Yes,
Nice 10.
that is a beautiful 10. The 3-7.
Jackie's been one of the top bowlers around on the Pro Tour for a number of years now. So 725 is not all that unusual for him.
Steve Vadney still looking for his first mark.
Yeah, he's starting off a little bit slow this week.
Last week, he had 18 marks, including 7 strikes.
See if he can work this out for a 10.
Steve is fortunate that he only trails by 18 at this point.
Very much so. He's off that head pin. Good looking shot. Just not carrying that extra pin so far.
Jack Ray with an 18-pin lead through 6. That spare strike to start has held up, at least till now.
Bang that one. He's got almost the same shot he had in the last box, except a little bit tougher.
Boom.
Super. Cut that right over just the way it's supposed to be.
Third mark for Jack.
Those are the kind you like to drop a strike on. Good quarter.
No.
A little too full.
Well, Jack had that 67 half. I believe I said 66 earlier, but 67 half. Both bowlers are a little cool right at the moment. Steve Vadney still looking for mark number 1.
Well, when they come in bunches. He's got to get warmed up here soon.
Well, that's a nice break.
Yeah.
Get rid of that inverted triangle.
He got rid of the tough one. Now he's just got to hit the 6 pin. He's on the board.
Matching Jack Ray's spare in the 7th. Remember, next week we'll be starting a brand new ladder series, and as of right this moment, we don't know who will be here next week for that first series, but again, under this year's rules on Candlepin Stars and Strikes, all the bowlers are eligible for every series, so possible we could see 1 or 2 of these guys back again. And there's another spare for Steve Vadney.
Super shot. Turned that first ball.
Turns a 4 drop into another spare.
Here you see it played on the outside, mixing the pins up nicely. Jackie with a 4 horseman plus a sleeper. Tough shot.
Dan Murphy will be rejoining us next week, but we certainly want to once again acknowledge and thank you, Gary, for coming in and filling in for these last 5 weeks.
Well, it was my pleasure. Hopefully the next time I see you, I'll be a contestant.
Well, I'm sure you'll be in that next roll-off whenever and wherever it is held.
I plan to.
I know you had a sympathetic ear for Mike Poulin after last week's show, rolling the 400 and losing, because that's happened twice to you here.
I welcomed him to the club. Very select club.
Spare for Jack Ray in the 10th. And a 5 for a 127.
It's a respectable score, although you know he's not heated up yet. Steve is looking for some strikes. Some of those 7 that he got last week.
This is on a spare. And let's see what happens now. It'll be a 6 drop.
He's got to make a shot like this to get him going. Ooh, look at this.
Yep.
On the outside. Get people about making the shot on the outside, but you know, it seems to go that way an awful lot. Here you see it coming off the wall to the last 2 pins.
And the fill, maybe a strike. Let's see.
He was hoping to wipe both of them out, the 4 and the 7. Now he's got a tough little shot, but it's makeable. He's got a piece of wood that's pointing right at us, and he's going to try and aim right at it and hope that everything kind of bounces all over the place.
No.
It's a good try.
Boy, it looked like he had a strike ball there on the first ball, and he had a piece of wood heading to take the 4-7, and another one heading over to take the 10, and he winds up with just a 10 box. And he will trail by 10. An unfamiliar position for Steve Vadney here after the first string. 127 for Jack Ray. Summer break, so we'll be looking for a win today for $140 a little later on. But right now it's time for the second string. Steve Vadney will get us started over on lane 32 here at Sandy's.
Steve missed the head pin a lot more than we've seen him miss in this last 3 weeks.
And again.
Looks like he's just overthrowing a little bit.
He still left only 1 pin standing in that first string. 1 9 box. Everything else was a 10 or better. Managed to cluster 3 spares together toward the end of the string.
That's the difference between him when he's struggling and most of the rest of us, is that he just doesn't leave those extra pins up. He can get 3 marks and still end up with a 117, where other people get 3 marks and end up with 105.
And this won't be easy. The 2-6, no wood.
Just going to have to cut that from left to right.
Not quite enough.
Gave it a nice try.
And another 10.
Starting off the same as last week, or last string. Can't give Jackie these openings too often.
Nope. And a 9 box for Jack.
He bounced that one. 4 horsemen plus the 10 pin. He's letting Steve get away with it.
Pair of 9s for Jack Ray.
The lead now is only 8 pins. It's that thin hit, 9 pin drop. 2 pin standing. Still hasn't missed one.
Those single pins are just about automatic for Steve.
It's been his favorite lane in previous weeks, but he's not on it this week. He's got to run right down the 4 horsemen here.
Yes, off the wall.
Oh, he deserved it. He was there in the pocket.
High kick off that left side wall.
Comes right across, takes out the 10. Jackie with some extra pin action. 2, 9, 10. Just go right straight at the 2-pin. Try and move everything to the right.
Ooh, yes, he does get it. I thought he was going to be robbed there for a minute.
Got some good spinning action on the deck here. See what happens. Comes right out of the gutter. Takes the 10-pin. Oh, that was a nice-looking ball.
8 to show for it, and the 8-10 remaining.
Oh, this is going to be a super shot. See which way he plays it. Can play the 8-pin. Just try and hit the 8-pin, and the wood will move across, or go down and play the 10.
Yes, with the ball coming back. And we will break right here after we take another look at this one.
Not exactly the way it's diagrammed.
Well, Jack will take 2 chances with the ball on 1 shot. Sure, why not?
I think he used the rubber ball that time.
Each bowler 36 with a spare up in the 4th, and 10 pins the difference through completed frames, and we'll be back with more on Candlepin Stars and Strikes. Don't go away. Last week, Steve had mentioned to us that he moved back a little bit on the approach, and he felt that was giving him the strike ball that he had working last week. This week, a little different.
Yeah, he really just hasn't been on a head pin enough to determine what's, whether or not his ball still has the same kind of action.
Second consecutive 6 fill.
He wasn't really too close to that shot. See if you can work this out for a 10. Good 9. Yeah, last week he was in the pocket most of the time, especially on lane 31, and every time he was there, he got a strike.
This is lane 31 right now.
You can see he's just a little bit full and not carrying the extra pin. Just wants to cut that 2-pin to the right.
10 pins still there.
1 on the outside.
Two open frames.
Plus, you can see he's got small counts this week. Last week he was getting strikes and spares on them.
Jack Ray working on a spare in the 4th. Big hit. Leaves the 5-7 though.
Probably just try to cut the 5 into the 7. Very close. Still a close match.
Wow.
They're both getting a lot of splits.
4, 6, 7 this time.
Make this, he'll either play way on the right or over on the left-hand end of the wood and the 2 pins at the same time. He went way right.
And it won't happen.
Can't come much closer. That rolling wood.
Well, the difference in the match is still 13 pins. Jack had 10 coming into this string, and he's picked up 3 more here for a lead of 13.
Something's got to happen here. They're both too good to go the whole week like this.
Better pocket hit, but diamond leave.
Diamond wins again. Steve again picking those pins well. to strike to get himself going. Just on the nose almost every shot.
Seeing an assortment of splits, I'll say that.
This will go for him, though. Just wants to drive that 2-pin straight back.
That's a nice shot.
It's a pretty shot to watch.
6th spare for Steve Vadney. Jack Ray also has 6 marks. One of them was a strike.
Jackie shooting at the triangle. That's a little easier than the diamond.
Yes.
Jack trying to open up his lead. He won't do it that way. He went for everything. Now he's just looking for a nice out.
Watch out. Wow, $5. That negates the spare. 20 for the 2.
That gives Steve a chance now to pull a lot closer. It's a 10-pin swing.
Steve now trails by 8. And almost leaving the 9.
Nice try. That's a killer when you get that sleeper in the back.
The thing that's amazing about Steve on these single pins, Gary, is that no matter, even if he misses a tough spare leave like that, he still has the concentration to stay in there and hang in and make a single pin for the 10, which is very important.
He's got a good rhythm there. You can see that he's concentrating on every single shot.
Well, that'll leave the 5-pin after all of that.
He almost had a tough break. It still isn't a piece of cake. Just doesn't want to hit that wood on the cap. No problem.
This will put him into the 120s again. Or the 120s for the first time, I should say. He had a 117 the first string. Steve had been averaging 132 here on Stars and Strikes coming in today, and it'll be another 9-pin drop and a 125.
Well, he came out of it well.
Jack Ray will have to come up with 1 mark at least to hold on to his lead. And there it is. It's 1.
That ball was buried.
No chance for the 10-pin to stay up there.
Well, it tried. Made a weak effort at staying up.
Second strike for Jack.
Now he's trying for a thin hit strike. Not an easy shot here. Actually, better off to try and get by the wood. Play the 3-pin on the left.
No, that's the danger. The wood.
He tried to bounce the ball off the wall, but it went right over the top of the net.
10 bucks for Jack. And a 123. So the ladder title is up for grabs here. An 8-pin lead for Jack Ray, 250 to 242. 1 string to go. We'll be back for it. May make a difference, and we had a chance to look at the replay during the break there, and we will have to take a pin away from Jack Ray on that last 10 box, the last box of the second string. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah, we'll have a second shot at it here. Fortunately, we have that opportunity. Jackie's throwing the ball here now, and you can see how close it is to the wood in the gutter. The question is, does it hit the wood in the gutter before the 10-pin? And in this case, it obviously did. Therefore, we have to take the pin away.
So it's a 9 box and a 122 for Jack Ray in the middle string, and a two-string total 249, so his lead is 7 instead of 8, and Jack is now set to start us off in the 3rd string. So we'll see if that one pin turns out to make a difference, but right now Jack is still in the lead by 7.
Jackie slipped a little bit on the approach that time. Tried to get a little extra speed on the ball. Good bit. Here's where the pinning really counts.
And that is a 10.
No question about that one.
It was very tough to see with the naked eye that first time through in that 10th frame.
That kind of shot happens a lot, especially in league play. Usually you allow the bowler to call it themselves. Of course, we have the benefit of the replay here, so we can make the call ourselves.
And Jack let that one slip away, too far to the right.
Yeah, he wanted to be on that head pin. Thought he had a shot at it with it being frozen.
Pair of 10s for Jack.
Well, with a mark here, we get a brand new ball game. Contrast to last week, Steve doesn't have any strikes this week.
Last week he had 7. Well. And this week he has 1.
No doubt on that one. A little bit too thin for a double. And he's just really hoping for a spare leave. And this is not an easy one. Just want to cut that 2-pin left.
Nice try.
Made a nice try.
And a 9 box for Steve, who's trying to get around that piece of wood in the front. Well, now Steve Vadney leads by 1 in the match. Embry trail by 7 coming in. Jack Ray off target again. Kicks out the 7, leaving the 1-2, or kicks out the 10 rather, leaving the 1-2-9.
Good spare leave though. Just needs to split the 1-3. A little bit too full. Doesn't look like we're going to get our 400 series here, but it's going to be a tight match right down to the end.
Someone will have to get real hot in a big hurry. Sometimes, though, it's happened here before when we get to the big money matches. The scores tend to drop down a little bit. A little more tension.
Oh, nice try by Jack. But they've done some excellent pinning. If you look at the box scores here, it's only been 1 box between the 2 of them below a 9. And that was Jackie's 5.
Another 10 box there for Jack, and Steve Vadney with 2 more open frames to work on.
Steve's starting to find the range on that head pin now. This isn't too tough a shot. The wood should lay in there nicely. Just wants to hit the 2-pin, drive everything straight back.
Talked about this with Dan Murphy in the past, Gary. If you're in this situation, close match coming down to the last few boxes, would you rather be bowling first or last?
Well, personally, I'd rather be bowling first. I think that, I don't know, I hear a lot about how well people bowl under pressure and all that, but it seems to me that you've got an edge if you're forcing the other guy to do something. Nice 9 drop. Finally zeroed in on alley 31.
Spare it up in the 4th for Steve Vadney, and we will pause right here. This ladder championship very much up in the air. Steve Vadney, 37 and a spare up in the 4th. Jack Ray at 39 through 4. We're back with the final 6 box. We're in the third string. This match is just about dead even right now. And there's the good ball he was looking for.
Good solid 9. 3-pin for a spare. Piece of wood in the back as a distraction.
Right there, no problem. Each bowler now with 9 marks.
Jackie didn't like that one. Hanging that ball up to the right. With a bad fill.
And now has to avoid another bad box.
Yeah, 31 has done him in a couple of times.
Steve Vadney now to work on a spare on the 4th.
Steve can open up a pretty good sized lead here. If he can throw a couple marks.
He leads by 1 plus whatever he gets on this ball.
Well, he got the break. He got the good quarter break. 1-7 standing. He nailed it right where it had to be. The end of that deadwood and the head pin at the same time. Whoops.
And Steve slipped at the foul line a little.
Yeah, he made the same shot that Jackie did. But he's got a little bit of wood here that may help him. Outside.
Yes.
See that? It's a super shot. Here you see it coming in. Right-hand side of the head pin. 10 pin goes down last. That was a good clutch shot.
And Jack Ray needs to put something up on the board, and there's a big break, kicking the 7 pin out, and now watch out here on the head pin.
Now it's a little bit wired, so he really just has to hit the head pin.
Bang.
Jackie needs to throw that strike ball. See the shot? No doubt about it at all. Came up a little too full that time.
And another 4 fill. Watch out here. Wow. Well, the spare really doesn't help him much there with the 4 fill. Steve Vadney working on the spare already has the lead by 11.
Well, he's got to hope for Steve to make a mistake. If Steve doesn't, he'll have a commanding lead with 2 to go.
Yes, there's a big break with the 2 and the 8 both going.
Yeah, looked like a pretty good shot anyway, but it's always nice to have that extra pin down. We don't have to replay that one.
4 marks in a row for Steve Vadney.
Well, he's right there when he has to be.
The lead is now up over 20. .22 to be exact.
Well, he's forcing Jackie to get 2 big marks. He needs to go out the same way he started. Spare strike or better.
Oh, he lost that one to the right.
He's got a spare lead, though. He's to cradle that in the 1-3. Now he's got to 10 this up and throw a double or a triple. All Steve needs to do is stay behind the foul line.
Oh, and Jack misses the single, and that will do it. Steve Vadney has won his second straight ladder championship. A 103 for Jack Ray and a 352. And Steve Vadney is rolling for the final count here.
Well, I know how Jackie feels. Come in here as the top seed, everybody expecting big things from you. Some days you just don't have it.
The big news, I guess, is not that Steve is going to win, but that he's not going to hit 400.
Well, that's when you know you've got it going for you. You can have a bad week, an off week, and still win the match.
Another single pin spare.
That's 4 weeks now. We haven't seen him miss a single pin for a spare.
And that's 12 spares today with one strike. And one ball remaining. 374 plus 6.
Respectable.
A 138 for Steve Vadney. Another ladder championship, a 380, beating Jack Ray's 352. We'll be back to talk to the bowlers and go for the home bonus ball jackpot at $140. Don't go away. Final count here on the ladder championship match, and Jack Ray, the runner-up. Jack, not as well as you might have expected it to turn out, but still, Steve has really been on a roll here the last few weeks.
Yeah, he came from, I think it was 4th seed, and I guess somebody should have told me it's a 3-string match, not a 2-string match. So I'll try. Hope I'll try again next time.
I'm sure we'll see you again. And by the way, congratulations on that 725. That was really something.
Yeah, I should have brought some of that with me today, but that's the way it goes.
Well, the check, of course, Jack, for $200, and the runner-up plaque from N&R Trophy of Winchendon, and a copy of Jim Fairhurst's book, and our best wishes. We hope to see you again real soon.
Thank you very much, Doug.
All right, Jack. From Woburn, Massachusetts, Jack Ray, our runner-up. And now we'll get ready to make the presentation to Steve Vadney, but we'll ask him to do one more thing before we do that, and that is to see if we can't win some money from one of you at home. $140 to be exact in the home jackpot. And let's see. Well, we may have a shot at this one. Let's see. A 6 is what we're looking for. And it is a 4, the guess, so not a match. Walter Waz from Ipswich, Massachusetts. Thanks for sending the card in, Walter. You'll be getting a TV50 NHCBA desk pen for sending in the card. And Steve, here it is, all the stuff that you've been waiting for. You worked very hard, 4 weeks to get that. The $400 check, the winning plaque from N&R Trophy, and of course the book by Jim Fairhurst. And this, ironically enough, was the lowest score you had in the 4 weeks, but it was enough to win.
Yeah, super. I was lucky that Jack was off his game a little bit. He was dropping the ball a little, and fortunately for me.
Well, now, are you going to give somebody else a chance to come and bowl now, or are you going to try again the next time?
I'd like to get into that top position where I don't have to come up so much. It's a long day.
Well, thanks very much, Steve. We appreciate you being here, and congratulations on the win, your second ladder win in a row, and we hope to see you again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Steve Vadney, thank you very much, Steve. Coming down from Claremont, New Hampshire, once again to win it all. That's second time in a row. He makes it worth his while coming all this way, anyway.
Aren't you getting a little tired of watching him every week, though? Really now.
I don't think Steve's getting tired of winning, though.
No, I don't think his wife is either.
Well, that's going to do it for this 5-week series. Next week, of course, we'll have a brand new list of 6 bowlers going for another series of big prizes. And, of course, we hope you'll be with us next Sunday at 12 noon. And once again, thank you to Gary Duffett for filling in for Dan Murphy. Always a pleasure.
Oh, it was my pleasure, too.
All right. Thank you very much, Gary. And until next Sunday at 12 noon, for Gary Duffett and the entire TV50 Sports crew, I'm Doug Brown. Bye-bye, everybody, from Sandy's.